Hi, I'm Sravish. This is TrustTalks. And today I have with me Jonathan Price, head of security at Evisort, and probably the most technical leader in the industry. Hi, Jonathan. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Travis. I love your radio voice. Thank you for the compliments there.
My mom once told me that I have the face for radio, so I will take your compliment because hers clearly wasn't.
Moms.
Jonathan, let's get started immediately. You
Mhm.
obviously work at a company that is doing exceedingly well, growing really fast. And as the person who is leading the security function in the organization, I'm sure you have a lot of pressure in supporting your sales department on how
Mhm.
all of you answer security questionnaires, how you complete risk assessments, both with customers as well as with vendors. What are some steps you've put in place to streamline not only the process of vendor risk evaluation, but also potentially making it better so you have a very specific way in which you can understand real risk and it's not just a paper pushing exercise where you're analyzing documents? Is there anything you've done specifically that has improved this process for you?
The main thing and the this is sort of the main thing I think most security review that a lot of companies do get wrong is that they sort of start with the assumption that they can assume their vendor or sure they can assure their vendor are doing some set of things, the things that they say they're doing. You get the 300 answer questionnaire. So you can look and say, yes, they said yes to all these wonderful things we wanted to do. Um, Annoyingly, even like 70% of those could just be answered by like, oh, they also have a SOC 2 report. Um, the problem with that is you can't assure yourself the vendor is doing anything they say they're doing. They can you can obviously say yes on a questionnaire, and even if you are a big enough prospect to push for it, even if you push for like, oh, show me your your dependency vulnerability report, show me your set of like live vulnerabilities, show me your static analysis reports. Those could be fake. Those could be on segments of the product that are much safer. You know, have your nice stacks. And so we try to not go into the vendor review process trying to do anything where we're asking them to demonstrate that they're doing something. We're asking them to demonstrate knowledge. And so a thing that we do a lot that we're used to is where we're trying to assure knowledge, but not like people have actually done the things they've done is a job interview. And we really treat it a lot more like a job interview than the way people typically do vendor evaluation. We ask them 5 to 10 to 15 questions related to how we think security is like most applicable between their product, like their service or product and our infrastructure. And we ask them in an open-ended way where we basically want them to demonstrate the knowledge that they know how to solve this particular problem with like within the space, within the thing, within what they're doing that relates to our threat model of them, and that they've thought through what their threat model is for their customers. And it's much more about, oh, do they know how to solve X? And maybe they haven't, but that's still better than average that they actually know how to solve some of these problems. And if at the absolute worst case, they researched it to answer that question, hey, they at least know how to do it now. Maybe they'll prioritize it. So it's a lot more about demonstrating knowledge and it is about checking off an endless thing on the questionnaire. And we try to make that because we want those answers to be more significant. We try to make that a lot shorter of a process for them and only give like those 10 to 15 questions and not say 300.
I love that. Well said. Jonathan, what do you love most about your job?
Finding ways to add security value in a way that doesn't have the operational impact that most people tend to expect about security, like really using security as an enablement feature, and everything we're touching is like trying to make it as best as possible, at worst operational efficiency neutral, and ideally operational efficiency gaining. And really, even in the case of say like, oh, let's do a ticketing process. Once you get the doing that in like a lightweight way and not the typical like awful 50 checks or 50 fields on a ticket that people have experience with if they've been at a very like legacy enterprise place, showing them what like a lean process can do. That gets you the security value, and ideally, you see some eureka moments like, oh, this is also making us more operationally effective, because a lot of security controls are very tangential for just operational effectiveness controls.
What's the thing that you hate most about your job?
both in questionnaires and in compliance standards and in contractual requirements, having to do pointless crap or having to do things that are they exist as controls for whatever reason, but they don't actually matter anymore. And either it's the having to do something that is very clearly a checkbox to make some enterprise customer happy, even though it doesn't actually move the needle for any of our other customers security wise or even them security wise, or debating with them, or trying to very nicely push back and be like, oh, we aren't doing that. I would love to not spend time on like anything related to pointless controls, if that makes sense.
The theme seems to be, how can a security leader create a program, a set of tools and processes that makes it self-service for the sales enablement team to do the work on their own, as well as the legal team and the finance team and the sales team to also determine what can be promised to customers on their own, so that there's not a necessary feedback loop at all times, but also we're not making commitments that we can't follow up on. And so I like that idea of enabling the rest of the organization to not only understand the security and privacy capabilities of the company, but then also make decisions and represent those capabilities correctly with external stakeholders.
Definitely. And like that comes a bit from, I'm a bit of an imposter as like in a security leadership space, because I really want my heart of hearts, I want to be solving complex technical problems. I want to be thinking through that, not, answering questionnaires or dealing with contract negotiations. Anything I can make that isn't that solving technical problems self-service as possible or automated as possible, I'm always going to be driven to do that, because I just really, it's not my favorite thing. And like sort of the reverse of this, if legal and sales can know, here are the things that we can agree to, like if sales and legal could know that while negotiating the contract, or if they could say like based on whatever the control the counterparty is asking for, if they could know, here's what we do and that's better or worse, or how much worse, or how to discuss that, that would probably be the better thing, because we have it pretty good on the, maybe it's being a contract analytics company and we dog food our own systems. We have it pretty good on the knowing what we've agreed to. That hasn't been an issue. It's really the negotiating what new things can we agree to, that drags a lot of time in the contract space down for us.
I'd love to get your perspective on other CISOs or other mentors that have helped you determine not only your path in becoming a security leader, but also who've inspired you to take security and privacy up a notch and enable it as something that can build trust with customers and earn the trust of not only your customers, but your management team and your board of directors. So who in your mind is that trust champion or trust champions that has pushed you and mentored you to get better?
One I could give right now is someone you actually introduced me to, Thomas Owen at Grafana. One of the few CISOs I've met where it's, this guy gets it. This guy is smarter than me. This guy knows more than me. Typically, it's security leaders be like, why is this person ranting about VPNs or something? Really aligned with the way that I tend to think about security and sort of where I want to take my career. And he's been very helpful in mentoring me along that path.
Jonathan, who's been a colleague or somebody that has worked with in your team that has pushed you or inspired you that we have to do better in terms of security and privacy because it's the right thing to do, and that's how we earn trust with our customers? Who's really inspired you to get better at your craft?
It's actually it's people within our product org, someone within our product org, which I'm not used to. And that's part of the reason for this. A lot of times in companies past, that's usually been the people that I'm pulling teeth with in terms of getting security prioritized over their deliverables and their roadmaps, which makes sense for like their incentives. But it's really been night and day here. And there's a particular product manager, Adam LaFerence, who just really any security issue is immediately prioritized. Anything we're remotely thinking about is immediately prioritized by him, even like above and beyond what would be his roadmap, like his roadmap goals, his feature goals, his product commitments, both in terms of dealing with potential issues as we think we found them, or in terms of, oh, let's spend 4 months building this thing right, building it now in a very security forward way, rather than getting the feature like really quickly out the door.
Jonathan, thank you so much for joining me on this edition of Trust Talks. I wish you all the best, and I hope to see more of you in the future.
Thank you, Sravish.